Hi, this is Bedcast number 4 in a series of broadcasts dealing with, well, whatever I feel like at the moment. Um, and I apologize firstly for not putting these out very regularly at the moment. I haven't quite got my head round the way that this works. Um, but of course, you can watch any time you want on YouTube. It doesn't have to be out at a certain time. Um, my mate Jim reckons I should schedule it for a particular time and day. Um, but I don't know what people feel about that. Um, all I have to do is upload it, of course, at a certain time, and that will take care of that. But I haven't been organised enough to do that in the last week or so because I've been feeling pretty shit, actually. My legs seem to have got worse, and I've been lying in bed and sleeping a lot and trying to get my head together. There's a bit of brain fog, sort of cognitive stuff going on. Um, to the extent where I've even been thinking that not in any morbid way and not in a suicidal way or anything, but I've been thinking, well, what is the point of this? What is the point of this existence? Um, Maybe I should book my flight to Switzerland uh, and think about. I've thought about ending it all, um, not because I want to die. I desperately don't, and I cling to life. I cling to it, and I cleave to it as well. Existence, it is everything. Um, And that has led me to a lot of thoughts about death and existence and life and atheism and the existence of God and all those sorts of questions. I mean, those are all questions that have occupied too much space in my mind for the last, well, all my life, for 61 years. Well, probably not when I was a baby, but because I was just being then. Um, but certainly since I've been studying philosophy and studying thought, death has kind of always been at the center of it. Again, not in any sort of moribund way. A moribund is a good word because I'm reminded of, I suppose, what's at the center of it for me is Heidegger's phrase, sum moribundus, which is not something from Harry Potter, but he came up with this idea of Dasein, of existence, a very important concept, and it's linked in his work with this idea of sum moribundus, which itself is Heidegger's response to Descartes and Descartes' very famous slogan, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, um, uh, putting consciousness and the ability, well, not the ability, but the function of thought at the center of existence. Heidegger rejects that, says that's metaphysical, um, and says that existence itself is at the center of thought. Kind of inverts it in a Heideggerian way. A lot of stuff that Heidegger wrote I find incomprehensible, and I mean that's my problem. Uh, but this central conceit, the central concept of sum moribundus, I die, therefore I am, I think gets to a lot of, cuts through a lot of the crap, basically, that surrounds the idea of existence. Um, and I mean, death has been on my mind a lot recently, not only because of my disability, but also because, well, my cousin died recently, exactly the same age as me. And there was something that her husband said. Um, he was at the supermarket, the following day or couple of days later after she died. She had cancer. Um, and he looked at people and just thought, how can you carry on like this? Just doing stuff, just shopping and not realize that the most important thing has just happened. My beautiful wife, Victoria, has just died. And of course, that's the point, really, about it, about death, is that life does go on. And the reason that life goes on, and the reason we can say that there is no metaphysical dimension outside of our existence, is, of course, that with your death, nothing comes to an end except you. And if we invert that, then we can see that there is no metaphysical other or outside of ourselves which depends purely on our perception of it and its perception of us. So there's no God, there is no heaven, and we know this because we die, paradoxically. Because when we die, things just carry on as they were before, just without us. And therefore our being, our existence, our Dasein, has to be, Dasein is a wonderful word. The old Peter Sellers film is a good translation of it. It simply means being there. Our Dasein just carries on, our existence carries on. The existence of stuff outside of us carries on without us. We are completely insignificant other than to ourselves, really. Now, of course, we're close to individuals, we're close to people, we love our family, we love our parents or our wives or husbands or spouses or our partners or whoever we're with. But that is something that's created within ourselves. Love itself is not something outside which shines in on us in the way that William James, for example, put it. He had this idea that the divine shines in on us from outside. That there is a second realm, a Platonic ideal, a realm in which life has this ideal existence and which we have somehow borrowed our time in existence, in real existence on the earth, and that we have kind of been snatched down from that, or we've descended down from that. We live this life through the veil of tears, through the veil of all of the bad things that go on within real existence, and somehow we return to this existence at the end, that we return to this Platonic second realm, having hired out these bodies like some sort of motorboats on a lake at the weekend, and that once we have finished with this, or the petrol's run out, I suppose, we return back to this higher realm. Heidegger turns that on his head, and he says that being itself, Dasein itself, existence itself, is conditioned by death. That this is all you've got. I mean, in a lot of ways, what Heidegger says can be reduced down to modern slogans about life. this is not a dress rehearsal, and there is no second chance, and oh bloody hell, this thing's gone again. Right, I've got to sort that out. It's just it goes into standby mode. Right. So there's no second chance. This is not a dress rehearsal. All those sorts of slogans and cliches that we have these days about life are actually central to Heidegger's thought on this. There is nothing outside of existence. There is nothing outside of our individual existence. And we know that because when our individual existence comes to an end, life carries on. Yet another slogan, yet another cliche. For everyone else, it may be unpleasant, it may be difficult, it may be very moving, it may be the end of my world or whatever, the way that we look at it. But for everyone else, life does just carry on. And if, as many think, we're in some sort of simulacrum, we're in some sort of matrix, where our existence is purely dependent on an outside being, whether it be plugged into a machine and you need to take a blue pill or a red pill, or a red pill or a blue pill, or whichever way round it is, taking the red pill, isn't it? To have proper cognition of this existence. Actually, this is all we've got. That red pill is simply just the born-again experience of modern Christianity, that somehow you can escape this existence, that you are being used, that God is outside us, all this sort of thing. In that way, and again, I've said this before a long time ago, religion is the original conspiracy theory. That somehow there is this thing outside of us, this metaphysical thing outside of us, which controls us, which makes us good or makes us bad, and rewards us for goodness and badness. And this emanates from the fact that we are monkeys, essentially, who have developed the ability to think of ourselves as developed monkeys. We have developed, as part of the evolutionary process, the ability to think about our existence. No other animal does that, really. No other animal thinks about its existence. If I look out the window, I can see some cows. They're not wandering around thinking, oh my God, I'm a cow and I'm going to die, and in my case, probably be eaten, and I'm not really very happy about that. No, they just get on with eating grass. They have no concept of consciousness, and that somehow this will come to an end. I had an argument with this about this on Facebook recently. But their existence is predicated upon simply being. And the reason that we like animals, I think, in many ways, is because they simply are. Dogs and cats, especially cats, have no need for us. We are a convenient food source. And people say, oh, but I love my dog and my dog loves me. Well, yeah, you like your dog, and you may well love your dog, but your dog really, if you died and it was stuck in a room with you, it would eat you if it got hungry. And vice versa. If your dog died and you were hungry and stuck in the Arctic or something, oh, this is all just rambling, really, but I'm trying to get to the idea of our existence as simply a thing, just a moment in time, a moment in the time span of the universe. We 14.3 billion years we haven't been around, and then we're around for a little while. And we think about, during that period, if we think about it, then we think about death, we think about the universe and the expansion of the universe and how it's getting faster. We know all these sorts of things from our investigations. And then we die. Even the greatest minds die. Who's died recently? Stephen Hawking, for example. He hung on for a long time and made a lot of his existence. And but in the end, he too has died, and life goes on. Nothing has changed. Hawking radiation hasn't gone away. The universe carries on in its merry way, and one day it will come to an end. Another great German thinker, Nietzsche, said that one day the sun will expand and burn up the earth, and the clever animals will have to die, meaning us, of course. And it won't matter in the slightest. Individual death is a terrible thing for those around those individuals. In most cases, the vast majority of individuals in the world die without much impact on the world. People die all the time. In the time, what is it now? 16 minutes, good God. The 16 minutes that I've been talking, I don't know how many thousands, millions of people have died. My life carries on. I don't know. I have no concept of them. My consciousness is entirely embedded within my existence, within my being. And my perception of that being has no effect on the world, as it were. So that God himself, as Stendhal said, I think it was Stendhal, the only excuse he has for all of the terrible things that happen in the world is that he doesn't exist. That the non-existence of God is the precondition for the existence of the individual. And the existence of the individual is the precondition, actually, for working together. Because the only way in which an individual can actually make sense of their existence is to work with others to shape and build and create the world around us. And that's what we've done over time. We're not individual animals, we are social animals. And as part of that evolution, part of that attempt to make the world as we want it and as we need it around us, means that we have also created the idea that we are created. So rather than emerge from being, where William James said that being shines in us from outside, being actually shines out of us and makes an appearance in the world. Our being, our Dasein, our existence, is the basic starting point. We then have an effect on those around us. We build a family or a society or a nation or a world in our own images. It's not that it comes from outside and creates something, but it comes from inside to create something. That's basically what evolution is. I mean, it's the ability of individual life units of life to adapt to their surroundings. If they don't, then they die. There are lots of examples going on of that at the moment. Animals apparently on the shoreline, because we've put so much shit into the world, are starting to use plastic as the basis of their existence. They're eating it and absorbing it, and building their existence on it, in the same way that they used to use coral. And of course, so plastic is replacing coral in that sense. Gone again. I'm obviously talking too long, so I could use that as a timer, actually. When I disappear, then I know that I've been speaking long enough. So the clever animals, the animals with consciousness, as Nietzsche said, the animals who think they invented knowledge, will have to die. We'll all have to die. We will come to an end, both individually and as a species, and it will not matter. That's the point. It doesn't matter if you die, and it won't matter when if there's a meteor that comes and kills us all like it did the dinosaurs. We're not allowed to, it's not allowed. We're not able to survive after that. Then who cares? I mean, who cares? Really, it doesn't matter. Now, blah 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 blah.